Welcome to the Get Real with King Arthur show. I'll put on my virtual crown, and I'm in my condo again. Queen Victoria may be prodding me about what to talk about, but I want to continue talking about guilt. Now, there are two schools of thought about ought and right and wrong. Behavioralists like B.F. Skinner believe that we learn right and wrong and language from others. Noam Chomsky believes that language aptitude is universal and that we are born with it. Now, C.S. Lewis states that we are born with a sense of right and wrong. It's universal, often in the terms of fairness. So you'll hear kids talking. You aren't playing fair. You cheated. He got more than I got. So the sense of right and wrong is everyone has it, unless he or she is some kind of schizophrenic or whatever. Now, that leads me to say that I think the basic movement of human beings is not as the French philosopher said, I think, therefore I am. No, I think it's I ought. And it ought, therefore I am. I don't think little children are thinking exactly. I think they are feeling that sense of fairness, both for themselves and what's out there in the world. And they feel that they ought to do certain things. Now, did they learn that from others? Yes. But is it also a universal movement? I think it's universal. And I think that ought is the basic movement of the psyche. So I say, I ought to listen to my parents. I ought to be fair. I ought to watch my health and brush my teeth. And that's I ought. No, it ought. I ought to get a bottle when I'm thirsty. I ought to have food. It's cold. I ought to have a blanket. So we aren't, as basic human beings, think about, well, now what is the metaphysical basis of a tree out there? So no. We're as Martin Heidegger said, we're Dasein, we're thrown into the world with the broken hammer. We don't realize what a hammer is until it's broken. We don't realize what we need until we don't have it. No, I think that makes common sense. And I think that philosophy was all way off in, I don't know, Honduras or out in the outer Imperium. But living life is, I'm Sein, says Heidegger, and Dasein, I'm thrown into the world, both with my sense of I ought and it ought. Now, if that is true, we need to handle ought. I bet it's a big part of our lives. And sometimes we call that not handling it guilt. I wrote a little poem, and it went like this. Should've, could've, would've. Should've, would've, could've. Should've, would've, could've. Should've, would've, could've. You ever think about your life and say, I could have done that. I should have done that. I might have done that. The saddest words of pen and words or pen are these words, it might have been. So I think that to live a healthy, balanced life, we need to handle this ought business. And usually I think of two extremes. One is, I ought, I would have, could have, should have. I'm not doing what I should. I'm not a good person. I ain't getting nothing for Christmas. I ain't been nothing but bad. Well, I don't know. And the other extreme is, it ought. Why are things screwed up? Why do I have to wait 2 hours at the DMV for a license? Why is this car not working? I paid enough for it. Why am I not getting more money? Why do people shun me? Why am I a wallflower at dances? And so we have that ought. It ought. I ought. And I feel, and next week I'm going to have Queen Victoria on to respond to this and see if I'm right. Ought. And have you balanced now already? Queen Victoria was talking to me and said, well, we have to balance being pleasing to others and doing the right thing with ourselves, what is our own rights. And yes, indeed. I think that balance, we're going to talk about it. And I wonder if you are going through life without a sense of oughtness. Now, Queen Victoria mentioned that many people are trying to escape this through various means, authentic and inauthentic. So, hey, you guys out there, be thinking of the I ought and it ought. And we'll talk about it next week, okay?